sure you've heard time doesn't exist. And if you haven't, I'm telling you now. It exists in its own way, but not in the way that you think it does. We've been told something really different about it. Everything is kind of happening simultaneously, but also what you do now can affect you in the past. And that's where time travel is interesting, because when we're in the present moment, we know that we can affect the future by how we act now. However, we don't feel like we can affect our past, and that would be going back in time. But we can. I cannot tell you how many experiences I have had where in my present moment I see something and it triggers a feeling in me that I'm not sure what that feeling is, but I know it's important. And then as my life goes on and I go into the future, I usually find myself in a moment to where I'm like, that's what that moment was. That's what that feeling was. It was at the time I was just like, oh, it's just a sensation of something calling. Like an example, I used to work at a restaurant in a canyon, and I would look at the cliffs above, and I just had this feeling about them. I never knew what that feeling was. And then the first time I came to Moab, which Moab is a life-changing, timeline-changing event for me, quantum leap, right? And there was a moment when I was standing on Moab cliffs and looking at a specific location, and I was like, that's what that feeling was. And as time goes on and I experience this more, I learned that it's kind of like our present moment sending clues to our past selves so that they just kind of stick and know that they're on. It's tricky to explain, but as you start experiencing it, you know this is a thing. So the more you experience it and the more you learn it, the more I highly suggest that you talk to your future self and you talk to your past self. Because there's things that you don't necessarily know. But if you talk to like your past self now, that's how you can change the future through the past. You can change your future by changing the past through the moment of now. Let that sink in. An example, again, there's this cliff in Moab that's like an upside down arch. It looks like a smiley face, but upside down arch. And from the first time I drove past it on my first drive to Moab, it's like there's something special about that rock. There's something special about that rock. And then one time I pulled over the side of the road with my morning coffee, watching the sunrise above that rock. I was like, there's something special about that rock. How nice would it be to have a house with a sunrise view every morning without having to drive anywhere? That same week, if not the next day, within the same week, I had 2 offers to build a house where it is now. And I kid you not, that arch is directly outside my front porch.